I can have your attention, look up at the screen here. So we are going to talk about how to make things, okay? How to take your beads and make things. So the first thing that we are going to look at, I'm going to show you 4 different ways of doing things. First thing we're going to look at is threaded, how to do a threaded paper bead. And the second thing we're going to look at is using stretchy cord, how to use stretchy cord. This is Stretch Magic. It comes in different colors. We have black and clear. Then I'm going to show you how to do crimp, use bead-align wire, and crimp beads. And then I'm going to show you how to do, whoops, you couldn't see that, bead-align wire and crimp beads, okay? And then I'm going to show you how to use chains. All right, so I'm going to show you each one of these things as we go along. So for this threaded bracelet, does anyone have any extra beads that they know they're not going to use that I could borrow? Just a couple, because I used all mine. No, and I'm going to give them back to you.
Here's this one.
Thank you. I just need like a little handful. I'll just take a little handful of your beads. If you don't have. I'll give them back. I'm down. Thank you. Okay, so I borrowed some beads because I did use all mine for the demo. So I just borrowed some beads from somebody in class. Now, there's a lot of math to figuring out the camera has not a super huge range, so doing the best I can. So there's like a lot of math to figure it out. Basically, if you're a wrist, just do 50 inches, you'll be totally fine. So when I say 50 inches, I mean 50 inches of any kind of thread, with, anything, right? So you're just going to measure out 50 inches. Okay, so this ruler goes to 35. So then I would have to go back for 35 and then add 20. I'm not going to go the whole 50 because it's just a demo. And honestly, you don't need the whole 50. It's just a guide. Okay, so I have my 50 inches of thread or whatever it is I'm using. I'm going to fold that. Okay, you can't see my hands. Try to make it so you can see me. I'm going to fold this in half, right? So my 50 inches now becomes 25. Okay, so there's 2 ends. Then I'm going to take this end here and I'm going to make a loop. I made my loop really ginormous on my other one, so you probably want to make your loop a little bit smaller than that. You just go through and make a little loop. Okay, so you see how you have a little loop there. All right, so then what I did was I taped my loop down. Okay, I just taped this right down to the paper. And then I went to the ends of this and I put some tape on either end to make it easier to get it through my bead. Okay, so I wrapped some tape around it like this. And then I took my scissors and I cut it in a diagonal so that I had a little feeder edge to go through that bead. So you see that little diagonal end there, right here. Okay, and I did that to the other side so that I could fit the other side through. Okay, so I just put this tape around it, and then I just cut a diagonal. Okay, and that's so you have a little point to get the bead in. All right, am I on camera? Okay, so then I took my bead, right? I took one bead and I slid it right through there. And that little tape thing helped me a lot. And I grabbed it, slid it all the way up. And then I took the other side and I slid it through the other side of the bead, not the same side, but through the other side of the bead. Trim up my tape a little for this one. This one's a little smaller. So your holes are whatever size they are, right? They can be a little smaller. And I slid this back through the other way. Wrapped on my tail, and then I pulled. Whoops, that didn't work out. I did something wrong. I went through the wrong way. Okay, so I need to go through this side. Okay, so I went back up through here. So if it comes out vertical, you know you did it the wrong way. Just put it in the other way, and then it'll come out horizontal. And there it is, it's horizontal, right? Isn't that cute? So then you just gently pull it up. Then you take your next bead. What? You can't see me? You can see you. You see the paper? Okay. But if you can see the paper, then you can't see me, right? Like the whole thing. So then I did the next one, right? So I slid it through this way. Okay. And then I slid it through this way, the back way. And my one piece of tape I want to fix a little bit because it's not as easy to get through. So you make a nice big point, and that will help you get it through. Okay, and then I pulled. And as I pulled up, I made a ladder. Right, now the two beads do really nice with this one, but the triangle beads work as well. Okay, so you see that? Does everybody get the idea on that one? Okay, and so you just do that all the way down, and then you just take a jewelry end. This is called a lobster claw clasp, and you tie it to the end of the bead. So when you get to the end and you tie it off, you're going to put a tiny bit of glue just to hold it in place forever, and then you tie on your lobster claw clasp. Okay? Any questions about that one from virtual or in person? So virtual kids, you will definitely be able to do this version. All right? I'm going to make sure Marlena gets her bead back. Yeah. Okay, so now this stretchy one, this is super easy. You just take this stretchy cord, and this one you can't really add extra beads to because it's pretty fat. And then you just measure your wrist, right, and leave a little extra. So if your wrist is here, take that much, okay? You clip that off, you string your beads all the way on it, then you tie it in a knot 3 times. You just tie it in a knot 3 times, you put a little bit of this on it, and then you cut the edges, okay? So that's it for that. That one's super simple. All right. Now, the trickier one is this one. Okay, these are crimp beads. So this is called bead-along wire, and it comes in all different colors, and it comes in silver, gold, clear, comes in all different thicknesses. So we have all different styles of this in the back. And then you need these little things called crimp beads. So I'm going to take everything else out of this container, except for the crimp beads, so you can see what they are. Okay, these are called crimp beads. You see them? No. There it is. You see it? You get the idea. You get the idea. So it's basically a tube. It's a hollow tube. On one end, it's got a hole straight through it, and it's called a crimp bead. All right. And so what you do now, you can put on all kinds of pretty other beads when you use this stuff, right? You can put like all kinds of beads on there. So what you have is you have a lobster claw clasp, and then you have a crimp bead. So this is the lobster claw clasp, this is the crimp bead, and the wire causes a loop, right? And then you can string everything right onto there, and then when you want to end it, you put another crimp bead where you want to end it, and you put a tiny jump ring. Now you want to take the tail end of this and slide it back down through the bead. so that it holds it extra secure. You don't want to cut it that tail off. You want to just slide it back down through each bead, and that keeps it extra secure. Okay, just like that. So that you don't see the tail, but it's doubled up. All right, so how do you use that? So what you do is you take a crimp bead. Can you see me? Take a crimp bead, you slide it on, then you take your lobster claw clasp, then you slide that tail down back into the crimp bead again, right? Just like that, and you pull up. So now it's all attached, just like that. And then you take this special tool right here. This is a crimp beading tool, and you lay this, the crimp bead, right in there and squeeze. Okay? And then once you do that, your bead is crimped. Okay? So now it won't come off, and it's all nice and crimped. And then you just string your beads on all the way. And then when you're done, you do a crimp bead on the other side, right? Just like that, and attach a small jump ring. Does anybody have any questions about crimp beads? You want to use the bead-along wire for that. Okay, so that's crimp bead, and we have lots of styles of bead-along. Okay, so now our last way is chain. Okay, so we only have gold and silver chain, but it comes on a spool like this, and it doesn't have, you can't like attach it to yourself, right? Because it doesn't have any findings. So what you need is you need a jump ring on either end of the chain, and then you need a lobster claw clasp. And now if you're doing a bracelet or a necklace, you're only going to need half the chain on both sides, right? Because this doesn't slide through. You make that wire wrap bead. Remember making the wire wrap bead? So to make a wire wrap bead, you take about 1.5 inches of 22 gauge, right? 22 gauge wire. This is 22 gauge wire. Take about 1.5 inches. You take your round nose pliers. You go down. You push that like that. You push it up. And you twist it back, right? So you get a loop. And then you take your flat nose pliers. You need both pairs. And you wrap that around 2 or 3 times. Okay. And make sure it looks nice, like slide it up so that it looks nice. And then you flip it as close as you can. Whatever you can't flip, if it's sticking up, you smush it. Smush it with your pliers. Okay. Get in there and smush it nice. During a demo, I can't smush it so nice. Then you can take any kind of pretty bead. Got so many different beads back there. You can slide it on. Then slide on your paper bead, whatever paper bead you're using. And then if you want any more beads, you can slide on more beads. And then you just round out the other edge again, right? You do the same thing. Go all the way down to here, fold it over, right? Remember doing that? You guys made your bracelets, and then you wrap it around. And now you have a bead that you can attach with jump rings. So then what you do is you take this bead. I'm going to just do mine messy. Okay, so now you have that bead, and then you're going to take 2 jump rings, right? And you're going to cut a little bit of chain. So you're going to cut a little bit, whatever you need chain-wise. If you were making a 7-inch bracelet, you might need 3 inches of chain on either side, right? So this might be 3 inches, and then you need 3 inches over there. And then you slide this through here, through your wire wrap bead. And then you slide the other end through that. And then you close up your jump ring, right? The jump rings are the connectors of everything. and then you do the other side. Then you have to put one jump ring here, right? And then your electrical clasp and one jump ring there. Does that make sense? Any questions so far? Now, what if you want all your beads to hang down like this? Then this end right here, I paddle. Instead of turning into a wire loop, I only did a wire loop on one side. And so I just took my steel block, my hammer, a little bit of my wire, and I hammered out a paddle on this side, right? Now, most likely your paper bead will slide through that paddle. So you will need to put like a stopper bead on there, like one of these little beads. And this will stop that from happening. You put a stopper bead on, and then your paper bead, and then you do the wire looping, and then you get a bead that will hang, and you can do like a whole bunch of them next to each other. All right, so those are all the bead steps that I have to show. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody in class or virtual have any questions? Okay, all right, so then that is what I would like you guys to start doing, is figuring out how you're going to make your beads now, okay? All right, so go ahead and do your thing.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good day. See you later. Okay, so everything that you guys need that I did, I'm going to show you where it all is located, okay? Let's go back and find where everything is. Alrighty? So, if you come back here, we'll find tool, okay, this one. You come to this cabinet, which is all the feeding wire is in this little bag here. All of the like stretchy kind of wire is in this basket. Up here is the chain, but we do have gold, and then actual Jackson gold. And here is all the different colors of the green thread. Then over here you'll find all of our lobster claw clasps, all of our tiny jump rings. And crimp beads. Okay? Any questions? All right, I'm going to go grab some gold. And we also have key rings, in case you want a key ring. They're up here too. In case you want a key ring. Yes. Yeah.
Today, it's like if you're not in it, I'm gonna go to the
Mod Podge, you just throw the Mod Podge all over it.
Take a paintbrush.
You put them on a toothpick, and then you make that little clay thing. You just take some ugly gum. Yeah, yeah. Just anything ugly that you don't think anybody would want to make jewelry out of.